Hi, my name's Lucy, and in this video I'm going to show you some of the changes that have come in for 2105 and 2111 in Koha related to the Patron module. So the first thing I'm going to show you is within Patron search. So if I go into the module first of all, just run a simple search for John. First thing to show you is this new highlighting that you have, just to show you patrons that are attached to your logged in library. So I'm logged in up here as Centreville. That's my library that I'm logged in at today. And I can see that this is just highlighting my local patrons. Second thing I wanted to show you was within the edit or add new patron screen. So if I just edit this patron as well, there's a new field in here for the preferred or main contact method. It's a new field here in this block for contact information, and it just allows you to set a preferred contact method or a primary contact method for that patron. There's no functionality running behind that. This is just for information. So that's something else that you can set. Another thing to look at within the Patron module is merging patrons. So there's been some extra functionality added to that. If I run my search again, if I tick two patrons, I'm given this merge selected patrons button, which has been in Koha for a while. If I click on that now, I have an extra option to compare the patron data before I merge it. So that's the part that's new within these latest versions. So I select the record that I want to keep, that I want to merge the other one into, and then I've got this option up here to compare patrons. And you can see it's showing me in green the information that's going to stay, and here in red the information that's going to be lost from that patron that's being merged. And from here, I've got my button to merge patrons. Just close out of that. The next thing I wanted to show you was a new option within accounting. So again, I'm going to go back to my same records. And in this record, this account, if I go into accounting, and then transactions. In this account here, I've got a credit showing for this this patron. So they have a credit of £3. That's for a locker deposit. That's just a sort of made up credit that I've created here. So perhaps they can book a locker and get a key and pay a deposit, which is returnable at some point. So in Koha for these latest versions, you've now got an option coming off the screen to issue a payout. So if this was a temporary measure and they return the locker key and you needed to give them their deposit back, you've got this option to issue a payout. If I click on here, it just says how much I'm going to return. Can say whether it's cash or not and confirm that. So that's paid off the credit, if you like, or paid out the credit, and now instead of having a credit on their account, it's back to zero. So you could use this for any overpayment that might have happened on a patron's account and you needed to credit them back. So it's just showing that you've paid money back to that patron. Okay, so that's called issue payout. And the final thing that I wanted to show you on the Patron module was a change to permissions. So this is going to be something that's more useful for Koha administrators, really. You do have the option now to split the permissions for the Patrons module. So before, if you wanted to allow library staff to be able to edit patrons, they were also able to delete the patrons as well. So they've now split the permissions out. So you have a separate permission for editing and deleting. So if I just show you how that works. In this record, this library patron actually doesn't have any staff permissions, but you can see in add, modify and view patron information, if I show you the details here, you've now got two different permissions here. So you've got one for just deleting and one for add, modifying and viewing patron information. So you can now allow some library staff to add and view and modify patron records, but not have the ability to delete patron records as well. So that's quite a useful one for administrators. Okay, and that was all that I wanted to show you within the Patron module. So hopefully that's given you a good idea of some of the new features and enhancements that have come in for 2105 and 2111. Today I'm going to take you through some of the changes to 2105 and 2111 in the circulation module. So these are the features that you'll see when you upgrade to 2111. I haven't picked out everything in the circulation module. This is just a small selection of things that you might notice or might want to make changes to when you upgrade. The first thing I wanted to show you are just a couple of small changes to the display within circulation. So if I go to check out to a patron, just go into their record, and just pop across to the checkout tab, you'll see here that this patron has some holds waiting. One of them is showing that it's waiting here. So that's my logged in library here at Fairview Library. And then it's split out any holds that are waiting at different libraries. So it's quite a nice display change there. Another thing which is just a change to display, if I copy that barcode number and check that book in from this patron. This book is due to be transferred back to its home library, so I say OK. I can clearly see here in the checked in table that we've now got a transfer to column, so it's showing that that book needs to go back to Centreville. So if you'd clicked on the confirmation screen quite quickly, you've still got a record of that within the checked in items table, just to show that it needs to go back somewhere else. Okay, within the circulation module itself, if I go through to there is a change here. We have a new report listed here. So as well as the transfers to receive, which has always been on this screen, we've now got a transfers to send as well. So this is a similar report, lists items that are due to be sent to another library. Now, this won't be used by quite a few libraries, because most of the time, if you're doing general transfers for a hold to be picked up or for an item to return to its home branch, it's set into transfer straight away or automatically, so it wouldn't appear on this list. But transfers to send is useful for those libraries using stock rotation. And it shows a list or a report of items that are due to be moved to another library as part of a rota, as part of that stock rotation. So if you use stock rotation, you will be using this, but otherwise, usually that report will just show as empty because your transits have gone through automatically. But it's worth pointing out just so that you know what it is and why it's there. Okay, the next thing I wanted to look at was a new system preference for alerting patrons when they've checked out a book before. So there's a system preference called check previous checkout. So if I go into administration, just search for check prev. So we've always had this system preference here, check previous checkout or check previous checkout. In this system, it's set to do, and it will alert a user or the library staff or on the self-issue machine if a user has checked out that item in the past. What's been added now is a new system preference where you can set a delay. So you can say that the check previous checkout will only work within a certain time scale. So I've set this for 365 days. So it will only send that alert message if the book has been checked out in the last year. Anything previous to that, then you won't be alerted. So it just means that you're not alerted to books that have been checked out many years before. Okay, so the next thing that I wanted to show you was related to auto renewals. So here there's been quite a big change. We've got a new notice. So if I go through to tools and notices and slips, we have a new auto renewal library template, notice template called Auto Renewals Digest. So in the past with the auto renewals notices, every item that was auto renewed or not auto renewed would have had a separate notice. So now they've introduced a digest notice, which means there'll just be one email sent each night. So obviously that's a big advantage. So if you're currently using a notice within auto renewals, you might want to look to move across to this digest notice when you upgrade. So just speak to us if that's something that you want to do. So alongside that new notice, you also have a system preference. So if I go across to administration and search for auto renewal, we have a new system preference here, auto renewal notices. So in the past, if you sent out an auto renewal notice, it had to be done from the cron tab. So it had to be something that we did for you to set up. Now that's moved across so that managing the notices and who would receive the notices is all within your control. So you have this system preference here. You can set it in a couple of different ways. By default, or when you're upgraded, it will be set to this deprecated one, which means which is related to the cron switch. So that's how we set it up currently for you. You can switch that over now to according to Patron messaging preferences. And once that is done, from administration in your Patron categories, you can now say which Patron categories you would like to receive that auto renewal notice. So if I go into Patron category here and edit that, you'll see within the default messaging preferences, there is now a new auto renewal notice. And you can tick that on. Say that you want the digest notice, which is the new digest notice that we looked at. And then once you've made changes there, obviously this will affect any new patrons created within that category. If you want to push that new setting through to existing patrons, you need to raise a support ticket with us or speak to us as part of the upgrade, and we can run a script to make sure that those new messaging preferences are set for all users. And you can just save that. So that's sort of a change really if you're using auto renewals at the moment. If you want to move across to that digest notice, just raise that with us. Okay, so that's just a few of the changes to circulation this time. As I say, if you've got any questions or there's anything you want to raise with us, do so as part of your upgrade process. So today I'm going to be looking at changes within holds or reservations. And these are changes that have come in 2105 and 2111. So they are things that you're going to be seeing when you upgrade to 2111. So the first thing I was going to have a look at was some changes to the different hold reports in circulation. So if I come across to my circulation module, first one we're going to look at is the holds awaiting pickup report. So there's a change in here that allows you to bulk remove or bulk cancel holds. So if I just open this out to all libraries, just so that we get a few more on this. This is just a demo system, so I haven't got many holds live on the system. So we've just got 2 here, but you can see you've got a checkbox now here where you can select individual holds and you can cancel the 2 selected or cancel all as you wish. So that's a new feature that's come in that you'll see in 2111. If I go back to circulation and have a look at holds to pull, the holds queue report, there's a couple of changes here. Actually, I'm just going to pop out to a different demo system to show you the holds queue because it's not running on the one that I'm on. So if I come in here and just select that for the main library, just a small change here, you've now got a couple of extra filters. So you can filter the holds queue now down by collection code and by shelving location. There's also another change to the holds queue that there's nothing to show you really, but it's quite a nice development, which means that when a potential hold is checked in, so it's been found on the shelves and it's checked in, ready to make the hold waiting, the holds queue is now updated in real time. So rather than waiting for the holds queue to rebuild, which it does generally every hour, if a book is checked in, it updates straight away. So another library isn't going to see that on its holds queue and also try to find it and bring it off the shelves. So that's quite a nice change there to the holds queue. The final change, just another small change, this time on the holds to pull. There is now an extra field where you can filter by pickup location. So I've actually only got one hold here on my holds to pull report. You can see that there's a filter now down here at the bottom corner under the pickup location column where you can filter by pickup library. Another change to holds you'll see when you're placing holds. So I'll just go back home, search for a user. So if I go into this record and search for hold, let's do a quick search for dogs and then place hold here. You now have, again with the pickup location, if I drop down here to say which library I'd like the book to be picked up from, I've got a little exclamation mark here, which is just showing me that if I select this particular library, Centreville, it's actually going against the circulation rules. So this item type that I'm selecting here for a hold, it isn't normally able to be held by another library. It's a home library hold only. So it's just showing that according to the circulation rules, this usually wouldn't, Centreville wouldn't be available as a pickup library, whereas Fairfield Library, which is the library that I'm at, so it's the home library, it's the logged in library, that one is allowable as a pickup location. So it's just a nice, doesn't stop you using that pickup location, but it just gives you that visual feedback to tell you that you're actually going against the circulation policies if you do select that one. Okay, so another change with the holds as well, this time with a system preference. So if I just go into administration, there is now the ability to set a default expiration date for a hold. So at the moment, a patron or a member of staff has the option to put in an expiration date for a hold. If they don't do that, then the hold just stays live on the system. You can now add a default expiration date within the system preferences. So let me just search for that system preference. So here you've got set or don't set a default expiration date, and if enabled, set that date to however many days you want to from the reserve date. So if you want all holds on the system to last for 90 days, you would just put 90 days in there and set that to set as well. That's quite a nice new feature. Final thing I wanted to show you is the new holds notice. So this time I'm going to go into tools and notices and slips. And if I search for hold to bring up all my hold related notices, I've got a new one down here called hold reminder. And you can send this out now for holds that might be sitting on your waiting shelf. So they're waiting to be picked up. So a hold notice, a hold available for pickup notice has already been sent out when it became available, but it hasn't been picked up. So you can send this reminder partway through the period of time you leave that item on the hold shelf waiting to be picked up. So there's a new notice text there, which obviously you can go in and edit if you want to. And then you also need to change your patron categories to say which categories are able to receive this notification. So if I go into my patron categories, Just choose one. I just choose this patron down here and edit. If I scroll down to the messaging preferences, I can see now that I've got this hold reminder notice. So I can tick that to say that these should be sent out for whichever patron categories I want. Again, similar to other notices, if you change these system messaging preferences, you need to let us know so that we can run a script to enable that across existing patrons that are in your system. So just to force that new setting down onto those existing patrons. Once that's done, we also need to set a different cron script running for you to send those hold reminder notices as well. So as part of your upgrade, if you let us know that you want to start using this notice, we can set that cron script up for you to start running after the upgrade. You need to let us know the number of days that you want it sent out at. So if you allow perhaps 14 days for books to be picked up, perhaps you want to send the reminder after 7 days. So let us know you want to send that at 7 days. And also the code of the notice template. So if you might have changed it, but otherwise it'll just be the hold reminder code that you need to send us. So a little bit of setup for that one, but that is a nice new notice that you can start sending out from 21/11. Okay, I hope you found that useful. Again, if you've got any questions, do let us know once you're in the process of upgrading, getting ready for your upgrade. And thank you for watching.